Good evening and salutations, my Days of Lives fans. Theo. You know, as I'm watching this scene unfold, I kept sitting there thinking, because I remember saying a couple of days ago, I was like, listen, when everything hits the fan, and, you know, watching Theo, I felt like I was... Here's the thing. I talked about how I was going to get a certain amount of pleasure of watching, Theo come face to face with reality. The truth of the matter is, I didn't. Don't get me wrong. I don't feel bad for him at all. At all. I do not feel bad for Theo at all. Because he put himself in a situation. And you know what? After reading some of the comments, Sierra actually has she has a hand in this. She really does. She has a hand in this thing as well, as far as Theo feeling the way he felt. Don't get me wrong. Theo walks in. It's just awkward as hell. And, he gets all upset. He's all like, sure, you need to arrest him, yada, yada, yada. And that's when Sierra's like, nope, I remember everything. And right then and there, reality hit him like a ton of bricks. Everything that he was fearing came true that day. And he was upset. He was hurt. And I just kind of looked at the situation like, bro, I'm not going to sit there and take as much pleasure. I'm not going to sit there and take any pleasure out of it like I originally thought I was. But this is on you. And when Sierra sits there and tries to explain to him, like, listen, I got back my memories and yada, 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 and I'm sorry, and I felt like I kind of used you. And I'm like, no, you did use him. Because at the end of the day, even though Sierra wanted to get away from Ben, and even though Theo was her friend, Sierra knew that there was a possibility that she can get her memories back. And yet you chose to go with him to South Africa. You chose to, get married to him, knowing that there's a possibility that you can get your memories back. And so in reality, yeah, you did use him. Don't get me wrong. He's just as guilty as her. Because he went along with this whole plan knowing that, one, you could have got hurt. Two, she's not in her right frame of mind. So, at the end of it, they're both kind of trash. I'm not gonna lie, they're both kind of trash. Yeah, she didn't know what she was doing, as far as like not loving Ben, but you knew there was a good chance that if you would have gotten along, even if it wasn't Theo and it was somebody else, there was a possibility that she still would have probably hurt someone's feelings. And so, towards the end of their conversation, after she, apologized and stuff like that, she's like, could I get a hug? And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, yo, did she really just say, can you get a hug? He practically, and not so many words told her to kick rocks. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, he handled that situation better than most men. Most men would have, well, a couple of curse words would have been thrown in there. He was like, nah, you know what, I'm good. One day, just not today, because this chick must have lost her damn mind. I get it, she has a kind and a good heart, but, I mean, that was just stupid, and to be honest, a little insensitive. What the hell is a hug actually gonna... So, you got Sean Smith there talking to Ben. And Sean's like, yo, do you have any idea if she didn't get her memories back, just how left this whole situation would have went? You got Ali and his daughter in jail because of this whole plan, conspiracy and everything like that. And Ben's like, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to go that far. And I thought he was, I thought they were going to sit there and give me up. Like, I didn't mean it. I'm like, He didn't mean it, but he said if I had a choice to do it over again, he would. So how much of this did you not mean? Don't get me wrong, I know that he's not a complete dick and being like, you know, he didn't want them to get in trouble for him, but don't sit there and say you're sorry, but you sit there and do it again if it meant getting the same outcome. But with that being said, Sean takes him back, you know, to Abe, and he's all sad and everything like that. I'm like, bro, I don't care. Because you did this to yourself. And you got Abe sitting there trying to comfort him, being like, oh, one day you'll find somebody else, and trying to just like, I mean, I know Abe, you know, his job isn't to sit there and say, I told you so, but the words and the things he was sitting there saying was like, that's not, I guess he doesn't need to hear the truth right now, like, but, I mean, at the end of it, he cried, and he held him, and that's about it, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure he's going to be going at some point, because we all know that the actor is leaving. I don't know if they're going to get somebody else to play Theo. I don't know. I'll actually tell you the truth. I feel like Theo, I don't know what his character was like before, but I feel like sometimes, like, okay. When I started watching this and he came back to town, and, you know, Claire kissed him and everything like that, it was one of those things where it was like, he wasn't, like, he was there to cause a bit of friction between Claire and Charlie. He wasn't there because he had, like, a good storyline or anything like that. Like, he was just there for probably fan service or people who missed him, and to cause a little bit of friction. And he comes back, and that's pretty much what he's doing with Ben. Just causing a little bit of friction. And now that CR got a memories, it's like, alright, cool, I guess we don't really, like, need him anymore. Like, I don't know. I feel like in some sort of ways, like, his character, from my viewpoint of me watching it for a little bit, has kind of got the shaft. Kind of, you know, on top of that, it's like, yo, this dude was together with Chanel. Like, he went out with Chanel. Really? Sierra, Claire, fine, but Chanel? Damn, bro, like, I feel like, no, I'm gonna sit there and say, I feel like Chanel and that first person that played Chanel, I felt like that was kind of bottom of the barrel. It was like, bro, did you just not care about standards? Like, what? Whatever. Anyway, he's gonna be going, so it's all kind of moot. Lonnie is just one petty ass woman. Listen, I get that Paulina dug her own grave. You know, she did this. You know, she caused a ripple between her and Lonnie, and I get that. And she damn nearly screwed over the whole town in order for money, and act like her family just would have been okay with it. So that was just idiotic and just bad at the same time. But even after, what's his name? Eli came and was like, yeah, well, you know what, listen, the tip paid off. You know, they got Ciara back or whatever. You know what comes out of this petty ass woman's mouth? Well, we didn't need her money anyway. We would have found her eventually. You would have found her eventually? This woman is missing. And you act like, oh, well, we would have found her sooner or later. Like, time isn't, you know, isn't a factor in this. But she's so petty. You know what I'm saying? She's having that grudge so bad towards Paulina that she was just like, oh, we would have got her back eventually. We didn't need her money. It's one of those things where it's like, and this is, I really do not like people like this, women like that. I mean, people like that in general, no matter gender or whatever, but just people like that. People where they're wrong. And instead of admitting that, you know what, listen, this person helped me out, I don't like it or whatever, you can't even admit when you're wrong about a particular thing. You're just like, no, we would have found them eventually. I mean, it would have been hours, days, weeks or whatever, but we would have found them. Like, wow. Just, And the whole time, just Paulina's this and Paulina's that, and da 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 da. After a while, it's like, oh my god, will you shut the up? But it doesn't end there, because then she goes and tells Eli about the whole Paris trip. Like, oh, is she gonna be Paris just over again? I think she said that twice. I think she might have said that at the dinner or the diner or whatever, the restaurant, Julie's restaurant, I think. And then she tells the story to to Eli, and I'm like, damn, girl, was that in like high school? And here's the thing, the way she was sitting there talking about her, it almost seemed like it kind of contradicted her story about when Paulina first came to town. When Paulina first came to town, she was all, oh, Paulina's this, she's like my fairy godmother, and yada, 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 and I just love Paulina, she's just crazy, and yada, 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 this, that, and third. And now, I don't know if they're revising it, but she made it seem like she never really liked her. She's like, oh, well, that's just how Paulina has always been. Really? What was that same energy when she first showed up? She's like my fairy godmother. Now it's, oh, she's, that's just how she is. She tries to use her money to buy her way out and this, that, and the third. I'm like, so you just never really liked that chick to begin with. I don't understand why you let her back into your life if that's how you felt about her. I don't know whose fault that is. I don't know if that's the writer's fault or that's just how much of a trash-ass character Lonnie is, but it's something. Now, Paulina gets knocking the door from her mother. Now, I found it really interesting because technically people are looking at this like the 227 reunion. I thought that was funny. All she does and when she comes in there is just lecture her about how she should leave Lonnie alone, and you should leave town, and you caused enough damage, enough trouble, and blah, 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 blah. Just, I mean, listen, I guess it might have been fine and cool for some people who was huge 227 fans, like, watch their chemistry go, but, like, I'm not gonna lie, after about 5 minutes, I was just kind of over it. Like, alright, yeah, we get it, you disapprove of her for so many reasons, and yeah, like, we get it. We get it. I didn't realize that the age difference was by that much. I remember watching 227, but anyway, long story short, something about her sister was holding her to a promise or something like that, and she kept sitting there talking throughout most of the episode. And that's when Paulina reveals, you know what, yeah, I get it, but, Lonnie's not her daughter, she's my daughter. Now, everyone in the comment section will probably think they're saying that. In my comment section, just in, like, YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. So, I guess this is why it's not coming across to me as that much of a surprise. But, with that being said, Lonnie's going to have a new reason to be upset with her. And, I mean, listen, I can't fault her for being upset about this. I can't fault her for being upset about that. But you know what, Lonnie, I feel like she's gonna do it in a way where it just annoys the living out of me. It's gonna annoy the living hell out of me. And I'm obviously gonna be really negative. I had to calm myself down because I was so much more angry about her scenes. And I was like, you know what, listen, I do this to critique these characters sometimes and, whatever, but it's never my intention to be a full-blown negative Nancy. So I actually had to take a few minutes before I'm like, you know what, let me just... Okay. Now the last scene is pretty much Xander throwing himself under the bus for Gwen. And granted, I guess this is supposed to be character development, whatever you want to sit there and call it. Xander's, his moral compass is just like a damn roller coaster. He decides now, alright, cool, you know what? let's let's have a conscience. So he pretty much admits to everything. He's like, yo, listen, it was me. I was the one that was doing the drugs. I gave her the envelope. She didn't know what's inside of it. You know, like, you know, she thought it was business stuff. It was all me. And at first, Jack is like, you know, the timing and stuff doesn't make sense. Something that they're thinking he's going to dig more into it. He's going to question it. But somewhere along the lines, it's like, yep, you did it. And I can't believe you did this to me and Julie. And we gave you a place free of rent. And this is how you repaid me. I want you out of the house. And the whole time, Gwen does not say anything. Now, I get that to some extent. It's like, damn, Gwen, you're just gonna let him just take the fall for you? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're just gonna let him take the fall for you? Like, once again, Gwen sits there and lies or doesn't own up to something so this way she can be in a better position. Now, that's just one little way of Snitty looking at it. But when Xander sits there and explains, listen, it's better for him to lose a friend than for him to lose a daughter. Because if he finds out why you did what you did, you can wind up losing him. Now, I'm not going to lie, I do kind of sit there and look at this whole thing, and I'm like, this is a situation that's just been blown out of proportion. Just a roller coaster of mistakes that could have all been fixed if Gwen told the damn truth. If she would have told the truth, Snyder actually probably wouldn't have been dead. That's the reality of the situation. Snyder wouldn't have been dead. Maybe Abigail might have came back sooner. But because she decided to lie to cover her own ass, she just, you know, she wound up being, you know, this drug mule for a dick of a man until he had a heart attack. And then they could have said something then. There's so many things that she could have did differently, and it's like, for soap opera reasons, for like drama reasons, cool. Gives us something to do. Gives us something to watch. Gives the character something to do. But just like, really? It's like X, Y, and Z want to happen. If after A, you would have just said, you know what? Screw you. Tell him. I don't care. You tell him, and I'll make sure that you get fired. Because you're telling my personal business. So I will make sure you get fired. But he bet it. And I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of snipped to looking at this like, I'm pretty sure he wants to keep his job more than he wants to blackmail me. Because if he blackmail me, yeah, cool. I have damage, you know, I have damage to sit there and repair. But this dude is out of a job. You know, the only thing that was sitting there keeping this glue of a life together, because let's be honest, he literally said that he has nothing else going for him except for his job. But yet he was willing to sit there and jeopardize it just to get a drug mule. Things are just not adding up. Anyway, Xander leaves and he's walking into town square and he gets arrested by Sean because... yeah, never mind. Probably Jack. So, and then Gwen just kind of stands there and she's just like, yeah, you know, he wasn't that bad of a person, this, that, and the third. Gwen, you know what, listen, if you're not going to tell the truth, just shut the hell up. Like, I think that's pretty much about it. Yeah, for a good hot minute, I was putting a lot of the blame on Theo and not really giving Sierra her share. Which, by the way, they had sex afterwards, so, it's like, yeah, you know, I feel bad for Theo, you know, like me hurting him like that. I guess the best way to sit there and get over that is by having sex. So, let's do that. But yeah, I've been giving Theo all the smoke. And none to Sierra. And don't get me wrong, Sierra didn't have a memory. She was latching on to anything familiar, anything that gave her comfort. But, you know, Sierra wasn't mind controlled, okay? She knew right from wrong. And she literally used this man to practically make herself feel better, make herself feel safe. And it would have been all good and well if she would have been like, I need a good friend right now. I need somebody to sit there and really help me out. Because then at least you would have been protecting his feelings. knowing that there's a possibility, she felt just because she didn't want her memories back that it's not going to happen. Anything at any point in time could have triggered that while they were away. I mean, seriously, could you imagine if they actually had a child and then she got her memories back? Like, how devastating that would have been for all parties involved, because eventually she still would have wanted to been back with Ben. And now you have a child with Theo, which, by the way, could still wind up happening. And if that's the case, they'll probably just recast, because that is done. That dude is done. So, but yeah, Sierra is a lot to blame. You know, she's blameless in this as well. Theo, I mean, no, not Theo. Claire and Allie, they were just being good friends. You know, and if Theo doesn't want to talk to him, and that's on Theo. That's on Theo. Because Allie and Claire didn't actually do anything wrong, except for help Ben and Sierra get back together, and warn Theo the entire time that this isn't a good idea. That this is not a good idea. Lonnie was sitting there placating this man like no tomorrow. And then when he wound up getting his feelings hurt, she's like, oh man, that's sad. I hope he's going to be okay. Yeah, because, you know, you helped keep him in that damn fantasy land of his, so I'm sure he'll be just fine. Anyway, with that being said, I think that's about it. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.